It's always a blessing when a ruler turns out to be wise, strong, and worthy of power. But what happens when that same ruler harbors private tastes that clash violently with what society deems acceptable, especially in the realm of intimacy? To explore this, let's travel back to 16th century China, during the Ming Dynasty, and look at the chilling reign of Emperor Jiajing. His story led to one of the most infamous conspiracies in Chinese imperial history, the Renyan Palace Plot, a desperate attempt by his concubines to end their suffering once and for all. When Zhu Huqing took the throne in 1521, replacing his cousin, Emperor Zhengdu, he adopted the regal name Jiajing, meaning serene tranquility. But for those who knew him before he became emperor, this title felt more like a cruel joke. Rumors about Zhu Huqing's strange appetites, particularly his preferences behind closed doors, were already swirling through the halls of the Forbidden City. And very few in Beijing wanted to find out if the whispers were true. At first, Emperor Jiajing tried to live up to the peace implied in his name. But it wasn't long before he began rewriting key dynastic customs, angering many Confucian scholars and officials at court. When opposition started brewing, Jiajing responded not with diplomacy but with force. Imprisonments, purges, and executions followed. Serene tranquility was over before it even began. Now, having multiple wives and concubines was nothing unusual for a Chinese emperor. Nor was it uncommon for those women to live in a constant state of competition, intrigue, and power plays. But Jiajing took things to an entirely new, disturbing level. Haunted by a deep fear of death, he became obsessed with Taoist mysticism. He began searching for the mythical elixir of immortality, and it was this quest that brought terror into the imperial harem. With the help of so-called Taoist monks and alchemists, Jiajing began using his concubines as test subjects for his bizarre experiments. What were these experiments? Brace yourself. Jiajing was convinced that the menstrual blood of young virgin girls held the secret to eternal life. Hundreds of girls were brought into the Forbidden City for this purpose, often fed nothing but mulberry leaves and rainwater to keep their bodies pure. Worse still, some were beaten and tortured under the belief that their suffering imbued the blood with stronger life-giving energy. The abuse often took place during intimate encounters, as the emperor and his advisors believed that a mixture of pain and sexual energy would yield the most potent elixir. Once the girls lost their virginity, they were discarded into the ranks of regular concubines, still trapped in the palace, but now used more for the emperor's pleasure than his research. This grotesque routine went on for years. But in 1542, 16 brave palace women decided enough was enough. While the emperor was resting after a visit to his favorite consort, Lady Duan, the women stormed into the room. They had no weapons, only sheer determination. They tied the emperor down and tried to strangle him with a silk curtain cord. One woman tugged at his genitals. Others held him down with all their strength. But inexperience betrayed them. Jiajing passed out, but didn't die. Believing their mission had succeeded, the women fled the room. By morning, one conspirator, who hadn't taken part in the attack, panicked and confessed everything to Empress Fang. Guards rushed in. The emperor survived. The aftermath was swift and brutal. The 16 women were sentenced to die by death by 1,000 cuts, one of the most excruciating executions in Chinese history. Empress Fang even used the opportunity to eliminate her rival, Lady Duan, whose quarters had become the scene of the attack. There's another version of the story, one whispered among the palace maids. Emperor Jiajing believed that dew collected from banana leaves in the morning had life-extending properties. Young girls were forced to gather this dew in the freezing dawn hours, often falling ill from exposure. In one case, he ordered elderly maids to do the task as punishment, after a beloved longevity turtle, painted in 5 lucky colors, died under their care. Around the same time, a concubine named Wang Ning began spreading rumors that the emperor had lost the mandate of heaven, divine legitimacy, because of Lady Duan. Some said she wasn't even human, but a fox spirit who had bewitched the emperor. Furious, Jiajing punished Wang Ning by forcing her to collect dew as well. It was in that cold garden, surrounded by other disgraced concubines, that the conspiracy was born. After the failed assassination, Jiajing's paranoia grew. He trusted no one. He became more reclusive, more erratic, and even more cruel. Over the course of his reign, he was said to have beaten over 200 palace women to death. The shadow of the Renyan plot never left him, and though he lived for another 2 decades, he never dared experiment on his concubines again. But the horror of his rule remains a chilling reminder: absolute power doesn't just corrupt. Sometimes, it breeds monsters.